in-depth race recaps.
He's shown speed, he's shown dominance at other racetracks.
Pit stops and strategy.
Hell yeah, boys. Let's go. Race strategy, man.
Fantasy racing insights.
Talking about being a team in the summer. We did it. Good job, boys.
Your weekly home for everything Ryan Blaney and Team 12.
Good job, Timmy. Here's the many more, fellas. Thank you.
This is the Team Blaney podcast.
Let's go race for a championship.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 198 of the Team Blaney podcast. My name is Adam Rogers, and alongside me is co-host Steve Mez. This week, we are here to break down Ryan Blaney's top 5 run in the Iowa Corn 350 at Iowa Speedway. Steve, welcome back to another show of the podcast. Excited to do this race recap, talk about Ryan going to Iowa and attempting to defend his race win from last year. That was such an awesome thing. Tons of family there. He had tons of family again this weekend. Later on the show, I'm going to have you kind of recap your race weekend as well at the Lou Blaney Memorial at Sharon Speedway. We'll go through some of that. We'll talk fantasy. We'll talk road course racing again, the second to last road course race this year at Watkins Glen, and maybe much more opinion, views, observations, and I guess we have to proceed cautiously in this episode, right? Because that was the theme of the third stage, much to our detriment. So, oh man, that was something.
Sorry, I didn't put together a flagpole on it, but yeah. Wave the yellow. Just keep waving the yellow. Continue to wave the yellow. One less yellow. I think one less yellow would have been it, because you figure one less yellow is probably about another 10 to 20 lap stretch. You add that on anywhere in there. Let's say you just add it on to the end of the run. What did Ryan say after the race? If you had about 20 more laps? Yeah, I think he didn't need much more than that. Best part is he did all that respectfully too. He didn't race anybody, and he could have run through a lot of people on his way up through, and he did not run through anybody.
Yeah.
He got to them, and he tried to pass them properly. Of course, if he would have ran through one or two of them, they probably would have wrecked and it caused another caution.
Yeah, there were a few he got up behind that I'm like, come on, at this point you just got to move them. You got to move them, and I'm having flashbacks to a much higher stakes race, and that was at Phoenix last year when he couldn't get around the 5, and that's another one of those. If Phoenix last year, if he gets around the 5 a couple laps earlier, maybe we're talking about back-to-back championships. But hey, that's all in the past. And honestly, we're just at this point now, and we'll do the recap and let everybody know kind of the ins and outs of what happened. But the team's on a roll again here, 3 straight top 10 finishes in a top 5 in this race too. So it's put them in a really good spot in the point standings. And just gives them a lot of momentum headed toward this final stretch of the regular season, and especially much needed ahead of a road course race that you never know what's going to happen, even though, we'll talk about it later, but speed has been trending in a good direction for that program. So yeah, let's talk about practice and qualifying, because we did get that in this week.
Yeah, they did get it in. Let's start off. Saturday practice session. Well, he was in session 2, so big thing in session 1 was the 8 car just snapping. You come across these bumps in turn 1, and you didn't even get a chance basically to get to the new pavement in turn 1, and he snapped it around and crashed that thing.
I don't know if there's a statistic for this, but has anyone wrecked the next gen car more in practice than Kyle Busch? Because I feel like he has sometimes just loops it around and doesn't hit anything. A few times he's destroyed his car, though, like he did in this instance.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've never really thought about it. I know that he's on the edge all the time anyway, and no offense to Richard Childress Racing, but he's trying to get more out of less than anybody else out there, because if he can do it, he's the only guy I know that really, if he could do it, he'd be the guy to get that car into victory lane. So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy to watch that, and it kind of made me think that the whole next session, everybody's just going to kind of tiptoe, but really they didn't go too badly. Ryan ran a total of 42 laps. I think he came in at least once. Was it the second time he came in too? I was trying to keep track of it.
Sure.
At least one to adjust, because it was a little bit shaky. He was talking about some handling problems. That the single lap ended up being P15 overall, but it's only 0.128 back of the 20 car. So pretty good, really. It's a lot closer and tighter. These short tracks, just it's hundreds of a second sometimes between guys to get into that top 10 or whatever. Um, and an overall lap average of third. And I think the sixth was P1. So that was kind of interesting too, because he came back in, made adjustments, went back out. So he heat cycled the tires and to still run pretty good laps afterward. That's pretty good. 15 lap average was P5 and the 24 was P1. So once again, it showed that over a longer run, the car was going to be good. Same things we're used to, but he's going out later in the qualifying session. This is something that's always key to qualifying better. He went out 34th, and he did put it P6. He said, here's the thing, is like right away some people in Discord chat and online were like, oh, if they could get that car better. And he had problems in 3 and 4, but this is why we listen to the audio. I will paraphrase it because there were a couple words in there, but he said he messed it up. Okay, so the driver, and he'll tell you, he's pretty honest. If he does something, he doesn't, he says he messed up in 3 and 4. And the 19 gets the pole, but he said he thought he had it. Actually.
Yeah. And he was in the green before he hit 3 and 4 on that lap. And, we've stressed it week after week after week for the last few years because this team admittedly has not been stellar on qualifying day. Has a pole here and there and some stuff, but not much. But we saw this weekend the benefits of getting a good qualifying position in the top 5, even just in the top 10 when it comes to stage points, and then setting yourself up for a really good day and points day and just giving you an opportunity to win races. And if they can just figure out how to do this every week, now they're pretty consistent qualifying in the top 15-ish, sometimes a little bit more but further back than 15th. But if they could just get into this top 10 consistently, it just sets them up so much better. And they just got to strike that balance because they have this classic, Jonathan Hassler long run speed that has won them races and won them a championship. But if there's just a way to move the needle a little bit further forward, they could possibly win even more.
Yeah. So this gets us to Sunday, and one of the things I'll tell you, it's about qualifying is really good. Stages of 70, 210, 350, 10 sets of tires. Fuel run, they're saying, of 105 to 115. This becomes important later, obviously. To the rear, I had the 8 and I believe the 4 also. But pit stall 19, and this is, once again, you're picking 6th, and you're able to pick your pit stall, and he has an opening in front of him, and the 88 is going to be behind him. So right off the bat, you start off with a good pit stall where once you come into the pit stall, you don't have to be worried about turning out or turning in or being a little short because of the guy in front of you. You can drive it to the end of the pit stall, set it up, and be able to turn out no problem, not having to worry about anybody around you, any other pit crew in front of you. So, in the opening lap here, it just sorts out to about P6 here. The 6 gets himself up to P4, and we're behind the 5 car early on here. At lap 3, the 24 is leading, and the next lap here, the 9 and the 15 are battling in front of Ryan. So the 19. The 19 had fallen backward from the lead right off the start, and the 77 is putting some pressure on from behind. At lap 8, Tim says, remember who you're racing here. And he's referencing the 77.
The Hurricane.
Remember what kind of things the Hurricane might try and do to you. Hurricane Hocelar. Lap 15 here, now we've got like about a 1 second lead on the 77 and 3.48 back of the leader, the 24. And this is, I kind of find it interesting because if this first stage stays green, they're not going to pit. So it'll be interesting to see how long on those tires these gaps will stay like that. And as the stage goes, it tightens back up. Lap 20 here, 1 through 3. Here's the 24, the 2, and the 6, all within about a second of each other. So that was really kind of cool too. It reminded me of last year when Ryan ran those last 80 some laps, green being chased, and the gap never really changed. Everybody was running about within a tenth, less than a tenth of each other. So you get to a 6/10 lead, and it'd be a 5/10 lead, back to a 6/10 lead. Well, that's what's happening here. At lap 30 here, he's about 4 seconds back of the leader, the 24, but he's 4/10 back of the 5 car. and the 77 is now 2 seconds behind us. So we kind of separate a little bit from him. We're obviously running faster than he is. At lap 40, his lap traffic starting to get in the way of the leader. And this is the 4 car who started in the rear. You know, he had a decent car. He was running good enough laps to kind of fend off the position, try to stay the lucky dog. Ryan now is only 2.46 back of the leader. So this also, you know, affects things, and the leader's stuck, and, you know, you can catch up to him. 5 laps later, now it's 1.581 back of the leader, as the 24 and the 6 are battling too. So great action out front. You know, I guess TV was showing this. You know, we have it on, but we're kind of watching the in-car more than anything else. Lap 50 here, we do pass the 5 to get to 5th. And we had a little help from the 47 who was trafficked here. We literally went middle of 3 to do this. So that's kind of sketchy part about watching the in-car camera is, you know, you just like, you're watching the TV, and if they don't show this, you just watch the scoring thing goes from 6th to 5th. They go, oh, cool. But what he did to do it was actually stuck his nose between the 47 on the high side, the 5 on the low side. He had enough gap to do it. And then the 5 kind of had to bail out of the idea of trying to make it 3 wide. And Ryan was able to get the position off him. So it was nice pass. At lap 62 here, the 4 car being a lap down now, and he's not even the lucky dog, which is kind of funny at this point. Somebody else is the lucky dog, and he's just in the way.
This
basically.
was so frustrating. And Ryan, he's just blocking every corner, and I was waiting. And you're going to say, you know, Ryan does say something, right?
Yeah, kind of, you know, but they, you know, about getting Tim says about getting some help, which means, you know, he tries to go down their spotter or something if he can do it real quick. But he does finally get back past him there, lap 63. So lap 68, we passed the 19 to get to 4th, and the 6 leads the 24, drops all the way to 3rd. It's really kind of weird here at the end of the stage. The 24 just kind of like fell off a cliff all of a sudden. And you know, lap 70 here, the 6 wins. Stage 1, Ryan, P4 right off the bat. Great stage.
Now the 6 was really good in practice. Were you surprised that translated over to the race and that it was sustainable? I mean, because right off the bat, you mentioned it, he had a great start to the race, immediately went towards the front, battled forever, finally got the lead, and kind of set the tone for the rest of the race that, you know, it was sort of almost their race to lose. They don't end up winning, and we'll talk about, you know, that sequence of events, but still I felt like you know, Ryan, I felt like the 6 was the fastest, and Ryan was basically like right behind it, even though he didn't necessarily have the track position early enough in that race, but we could see it in the lap times compared to what was happening with the leaders.
Yeah, it was Brad definitely showed up to play. They had the speed. You know, the racing analytics thing comes out today, and you always look about. He always puts that thing up that right where it's if they ran the whole race at the optimum or whatever. But Brad was still on the leaderboard there. Brad would have been second if if everybody green flag laps the whole way and all that. So yeah, he definitely had great speed, and this style of racing is all about blocking air, and he definitely was doing a great job of that. Stayed where he was all day. So we're pitting here, 4 tires. And we came in 4th, but come out 3rd. We beat the 6 and the 2, and the 19 beat us. So that's kind of weird. It was a 9.820 stop, which is actually pretty good. Oh, and remind me to talk about Jordan at the end of this too. Yeah. So the 19 beats us out. So the 19 had a 19.78 stop. 24 had a 19.70 stop, and ours was 19 point. So right in the same range with about a tenth of each other. But gained his position on pit road. Ryan and Tim are talking about the choose cone here. We're thinking about going to the low, but then, you know, Tim says it's pretty sporty down there, but the safe bet is with the leader in the high lane, the outside lane. So choose here, the 19, choose the outside. Ryan chooses the outside. Restarting at lap 80 here, and Ryan clears the 24 and 3 and 4 all the way to P2. And at lap 84 here, Ryan kind of asks for minimal talking. And kind of taking all of his, he says, please takes all my concentration. Now, we've heard other ones too. Like I heard Ryan Priest's today about the same type of sentiment. And I will say this one thing about it is like, so early in the race, we're running 6th and 5th and 6th and then 5th and 4th, you know, but right here, he clears all the way to 2nd right off the bat. And we're only tracking one guy. And at that point, he really doesn't really need anything else. He can mirror mirror drive the guy behind him, but he's more than anything else concentrating on trying to figure out how to get around the guy in front of him and stay with him. So lap 90 here, 0.53 back of the 19, and the 24 is 1.523 back of the 19. So literally the 24 has dropped about a second behind us, and we're only looking at a half second that we're trying to
It's funny
catch.
you bring up mirror driving because I know that'll be the next thing, one of the next things we're going to talk about on this run.
I don't know if I have the actual note on it, but I did hear that mentioned about, So Ryan says it definitely fired off better this run. Lap 93 here, Tim says fastest car on the track, which for a while there, he was the fastest lap of the race too. I think it got taken away later in the race. At lap 100, we're 0.246 back of the 19. And the 6 car now is in third, and he's about 1.2 back.
Yeah, so the thing I'm talking about is he comes on and says he'd go a lot faster if he looked out the windshield. Because basically the 19 just was he's blocking too. And again, this even was brought up in the Discord. They're like, when we're complaining about the 19 doing it, and someone mentioned like, well, what if we were 19 fans? And I was like, we'd be cheering Ryan on, talking about how great of a defender he is. So I mean, it's just the duality of being a fan. When it's the other guy, you're frustrated. When it's your guy, you're happy about what he's doing. But you could see it, and I'm sure it was a little frustrating for Ryan. It's just the arrow spot that they're put in with these next gen cars. It's really tough to get to a guy, and then it's even tougher to pass him. So you got to be much, much faster than the guy ahead of you to make it happen. And the 19 was just fast enough to keep it in front.
Yeah. So lap 110 here, about 0.205 back, and it's still a second back to the 6 car behind him. And lap 115 here, I got Tim and Ryan discussed the air blocking. And I'm glad you actually said exactly what it was. So at lap 120 here, we're finally encountering some lap traffic, the 47, the 51, the 66 come into the picture. Kind of hoping this will close the gap a little bit. And sure enough, lap 125 here, we're 0.216 back. But the thing is now the people behind you get a little bit closer too. The 6 car is only 0.8 back, and there's more traffic coming here. At the lap 129, the 6 is closing in and passes us. So now we're back to P3 here. And Tim says something about having a big moment. And in-car camera, you can't, you look out the windshield, you kind of see that it doesn't change. The view changes a little bit. And I guess TV did go back and show it. In 1 and 2, he had one of those kind of moments where it kind of bounced a little bit here. So there was a little bit of just, intrepidation there, and it caused him to lose 1 spot. But luckily, that's all it was. It wasn't one of those deals where he lost a lot of spots or caused a caution or anything. Lap 135 here. We're still only 6.623 back of the 19, who's first. So, they're running the same lap times. And, lap 140 here. The 5 now is P4, and he's about 2 seconds back. So, kind of looks like he's not really gaining, but he's there. And then we get some starting to pit at this point. The 23 comes in, the 16. At lap 150, there's lots of traffic here, but we're only 0.478 back of the 19. So, even from third position, we've closed it up, and the 3 of us are like pretty much in line with each other. At lap 154 here, the 19 does pit. The 6 now leaves. Ryan's P2 here at lap 160. We're a little bit back of the 6 car. We're about a half a second behind him. But lap 169, we get this caution for the 88. First one. Here we go. Hit the flag. Thank you, Tim. We're pitting here. There's 15 cars on the lead half. We're in P2. We're out P1 of the group that came in, and there's going to be a bunch of wave arounds for the guys who had pitted. So it was a 9.26 stop here. The 6 car had about a 10-second stop. So that's part of why the 10 lost position. I think they were trying to get a little more fuel more than anything else. So we choose the outside here. The 6, of course, on the inside. We're restarting at lap 176 here. The 6 really does battle hard. It takes a few laps to clear him. I mean, there's points and times where the 6 actually taking the lead more or less. He'd come off a 4 and been on the inside and got to the start finish, but then Ryan pulled past him going into 1 and 2, and then at lap 180, put it out. This one's for the 51 car. Now, the wave arounds are the lucky ones on this whole deal because they had waved around without pitting it. Now, if they wanted to come in and pit, a bunch of them do. And they're,
This is what
they got their, they don't lose any kind of ground.
this is what's unfortunate is for once, and just mark it down, Ryan did get a caution that fell his way when they were running longer there and stayed out and everybody else pitted and they get the track positions, restart on the front row. But then immediately it's just taken away, and it puts guys, including William Byron, I believe, here back on the lead lap, which is crucial for everyone else's race. And this also kind of starts, I guess, even that cycle before, it starts, the field is like split up into like 3 or 4 almost different strategies basically the rest of the race, which honestly, at a track that it's really tough to pass, makes the race interesting. So it happened out in a good way that happened, but I did not want to see this caution come out because you want to keep as many people possible trapped toward the back because they had to take, wave rounds and such.
Yeah, there's a comment at the end of the race about not having that in my playbook, and I think that deals with all the cautions. Jonathan says this, but that's the thing. Is like you start off with a plan based on everything being green the whole race, right? And then you have other plans based on when cautions fall. And they have this stuff set up, maybe they set up during the week, or maybe they do this weeks ahead of time. I don't know exactly how they work this, but so you're right, exactly. I mean, for what had happened, they had planned it and it had a certain point in time, but then another caution. And that's something this whole day ends up being really frustrating. We're on this choose here. We take the outside, the 6 on the inside. And that's interesting here. Behind us is the 2 car. Behind the 6 is the 21. So everybody from Penske, well, except for I don't know what happens with the 22 and his strategies all day. They're a little bit different, and his strategies don't work for him at all. We're restarting at lap 185 here, and at lap 187, the 6 passes on the inside. So now we're P2 here, and lap 193, Ryan asks something about what the code is. Tell me what to do. And Jonathan says that would be a 3. Now, at first, I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? And then it dawned on me because I actually had my wife read it back on Twitter. He read Stellan Arias' thing back because what I heard, I really wasn't sure of, and she read it back. And what they're looking at here is we're near the end of the stage. Do we want to save fuel? Is what this comes down to. Do we want to try and chase and see if we can pass him, or do we want to save fuel? And I think that's what it was. Is let's save fuel so we have a shorter pit stop. And at lap 159 or 195, I'm sorry, he's 1.56 back of the 6.
You can see it
at lap 200
visually.
Yeah, he just falls back. And I think a lot of guys were doing this because at lap 200, 2.66 back of the 6, still P2. So they're conserving fuel. And at lap 204 here, now we get again. Caution for the 10 car. The 34 looked to help him along his way on this one. There was a couple different times the TV replay had to go back and find it because most of these guys didn't do this on their own. Most of them had some help. Jonathan, this was bad because we're near the end of the stage. Jonathan's like, we're about 6 to go, and Ryan says, I'm sure they're going to mess this up, open up pit road, and everybody's going to have to make decisions and so forth. And Jonathan says, we're going to go with a number 2 here. We're going to stay out. 3 cars behind us stay out. So, we're staying out here. The 6 is on the outside. The Ryan's on the inside for this. Restarting at lap 208. They both clear the field in turn 2. So it's kind of nice where both of them kind of get out there away from everybody. Lap 210 here, the 6 wins the stage. Ryan, P2 though. And it's kind of cool. This was a caution for the end of the stage. So the 7 spins on this last lap with some help from the 42 car, Hurricane Hocevar going around. But we don't get an actual natural caution for it. We just get the end of the stage.
Yeah, it was an interesting weekend for NASCAR. They were really holding on to the yellow flag, especially in the Xfinity race where a car destroys the wall and there's oil leaking out and they don't throw a caution and then people crash. That was unfortunate for Brandon Jones. But And then in this race, especially that caution, or this right here where it wasn't a caution, the 77's like creeping down the track and they're just going to let them race back to the line. I was honestly kind of shocked that it played out that way. But hey, mentioned at the top of the show, 2 top 5 finishes in stages here. And I'm looking at the leaderboard here, and Byron and Elliott and the 5 people that are all the 45, like people all ahead of him in points, are way in the back, or at least mid pack. Didn't get any points, but it was very similar in the first stage too. So I'm already knowing, like, if he gets a good finish out of this, he's going to gain some decent ground in the regular season point standings.
Yeah. So Jonathan says, keep saving fuel when you can here. Then Ryan says, just to confirm, we're going to go Wrangler. Johnson says 10-4, and this is staying out. So, everybody knows they pretty much have to make, at least, even if they pit now, they have to make one more pit stop. So basically, a lot of the teams do this. They stay out, and they're working on how far can we get to our pit window. If we can get inside the pit window, then we can, do that. So the top 13 are all on the same tires here, a few with 2 tires, and then P18 is the first car on 4 tires, which is kind of the thing that Jonathan tells Ryan. So he knows, like, if anybody's, and even new tires was only maybe a 10th or 2 faster early in a run. Maybe later in a run, though, if as we see later on, it's really good for a guy with a fast car. But so, like I said, everyone's racing their pit windows here. So we start in stage 3. Get ready with the button, Adam. Because we choose here 6 on the outside with the 2 behind him. Ryan's on the inside with the 54 behind him. Restart at lap 219. We get clear behind him in 1 and 2 all the way to P2 here. And then at lap 220. Yellow. Thank you, Tim. We had a caution for the 11. Ryan also tells them that the 6 kind of took off just before the box. He does say it was only a couple feet, maybe 3 or 4 feet, but they might want to look at it. Not that they're going to, but it was a little early, he said. So Jonathan says, of course, we're staying out here. Some cars do start to pit now, and they think they're close to their window. They think they can get enough laps in. These cars are the 19, the 17, the 38, the 77, the 22, the 71, the 43, the 11, and the 44. And when they restart, it's going to be like P23 back. For this choose coming up here, the 6 on the outside, the 2 behind him, and the 12 once again on the inside with the 54 once again behind us. Restarting, what do I got here? Lap 226 or 226 here. Sorts out the P2 in turn 2, and then at lap 229. Yellow. This one is for the 38 car. It looks like the 77 had some fun with they had some fun with each other, and this will end up being a topic of conversation later in the show.
Yeah, a lot of these crashes,
or even
the 34, the 38, and the 11, were all basically caused by guys taking people 3 wide, or at least going up under somebody and losing it. I think in the 11 situation, it was just a 3 wide situation, and nobody wanted to bail. But the 34 in the 77. And even the 19 at one point, it's just they got loose up underneath somebody trying to push the issue because it's hard to pass and they're trying to stick it in there. So it just was very similar over and over and over again. But just these cautions just and they're going to keep going here. They keep dragging on, and you're just seeing Ryan's opportunities here to take advantage of being up front in this track position, and the strategy it's just frustrating, really.
And then the strategy that they end up on is the proper strategy, later on here. And he doesn't have a chance to show that off either. So a couple of them, Jonathan uses the word pickle here, the middle of the pickle here, but they're thinking about staying out. The 6 car pits, the 8 car pits. And then, of course, 38 and the 77 have to pit too. So now the top 5 look like this. The 12, the 2, the 21, the 54, and the 60. And for this choose here on the outside, the 21 behind us, the 2's on our inside, and the 54 is behind him. Restarting lap 236. We clear it by turn 2, and we clear the 2 in. By turns 3 and 4, we clear the 2. At lap 240, the 2's battling with us a little bit on the inside here. At lap 241, though, we've got clear of him and about 5 tenths ahead of him. And then at lap 243, we get a caution for the 43. Looks like the 42 hit the 23, also, into the wall too. So we had a bunch of things going on down there. That was in turns 1 and 2, I think. I think this is where that. Let's see here. First 5 cars, yeah. So the first couple laps, Ryan's talking about how hard it is to drive the car the first couple laps. I guess till the tires get some heat.
I believe he said it handles like a demon. First 5 laps or so.
Like demon. That was the word demon. I'm sorry. Yeah. So let's see, the 43 caused his own demise from when they show the replays here. Jonathan's saying thick and snap on now is what we're going to do with this here. So now we pit, put on 4 tires here. I think a lot of other cars, doing some things here. The 54, the 60, the 16, the 99, the 34 also pit. It's a 10.686 stop, but once again, this is a fuel stop. You want to beat a bunch of guys off pit road, but you also want to have enough fuel to make it to the end. And you don't know what kind of cautions you're going to get here. So we're back in P24. And once again, this is this thing, like if this ran green from here on out, there's only 2 cars on his strategy that are out there at this point. They're 40 lap or 39 lap pressure tires than the whole field in front of them. It's him and the 60. And later on, he passes the 62. So, that tells you how much faster he was, with the same equipment. So there, Ryan's told about some of the tire guys in front of him, also told about the fuel guys in front of him, because there's a couple cars at this point that aren't going to make it. And as we go through here, you'll find out they end up hitting. The 2 leads from the outside here. Ryan is also on the outside, 12 rows back here. Tim's, talking about being a little bit of a show back there. There are a lot of squirrels. Restart lap 250 here. After 2 laps, all the way up to P22, and then at lap 253. This is the 20. You didn't play the whole thing, did you? This is where the 20 across the track basically. And I did post a TikTok with all the yellows, and this one here is pretty good in particular because he does have to kind of navigate his way through here, the 20 and the 54 kind of tangle, but he all the way up to 18. So takes a couple extra laps to sort the lineup, and I blame this on the 22 car. He seems to think he's way up further than he is. Yeah. And then they finally get him moved
my
back.
First thought in the Discord as we're chatting when this happened was Ryan was up on the high side and he stops pretty much. And a bunch of people go by underneath. Yeah. And I said immediately, I hope they give him his spot back because he was up much further as everybody was passing below. And he lines up and he's kind of in 22nd, 24th. And then you hear Tim, in the running order, but not the real running order. And then you hear Tim come on and he starts telling him, where he's supposed to be. And then boom, moves all the way up, basically 5 or 6 spots on track to back to where he's supposed to be and in a much better position. I was honestly glad they took the time to really check this lineup, because if he would have been stuck back there from those guys sneaking underneath after the yellow had come out, I was going to be fairly upset.
Well, that's the funny part is the 22 was one of those guys. He thought he was going to be like 13th when this was all said and done. And no. He was 17th. Come on back. And he's the guy that lines up right in front of Ryan here. So the 3, the 1, and the 5 pit at this point here. Ryan is now P15 because of that. The 2 is still leading here. And like I said, the only other car on the same strategy here with tires is the 60. And he's in 10th. So Ryan's 15th. And the 60 got to 10th on a couple of those restarts. So Jonathan says the 6 in front of you can't make it on fuel. Most others have old tires. Now, mind you, this is if it stays green the whole way. So we choose here the leader that takes the outside here. Ryan takes the outside. We restart at lap 261. We pass the 22 to get to 14th. The next lap, we pass the 71 to get to 13th. And then at lap 263, There it is. I think this was kind of what it was. Ryan says, as you can hear it there, he says, "Are we not done? I mean, can we not run 5 laps?" And Tim says, "No." And it was deadpan, but one of the funniest, most honest things Tim could have said at that moment. I don't think Ryan laughed, but I know I did out loud. And
Tim was just over
it
it.
made
You
a
can
great.
tell he's over it at this point. Like, man,
Yeah. Like I said, it made a great TikTok. So the let's see here, where the 2 ends up. That was for the 88, by the way, and the 8 car may have helped him. The 2 pits from the lead. The 5 also pits here. The 9 assumes the lead. Ryan is up to P12 now. So if, we're on this choose here. The 9 taking the outside. Ryan does go to the inside for this restart. Lap 268. Sorts to P13 here, and then at lap 271. Lap 271. There we go. A caution for the 10 car. The 5 kind of helped him out.
Like, he made it through all these other cautions. He was in a really good spot about 2 cautions ago, especially because all those guys in front were really close on fuel. But now they have 2 cautions worth of saving. And that pretty much ends, we don't know it at this moment, but it pretty much ends Ryan's opportunity here to win the race. So it's just, but he was on a winning strategy if there wasn't this chaos. And I think, some folks were talking about that or commenting on some of our posts, and that's kind of what we were saying. Like, even just 1 or 2 of these don't happen, the 12 is probably going to win the race, and he might even win it by a second or 2 because of how fast he was going at the end. And and it's just, man, we know all of this after it's already over and everything, but it's just couldn't take anymore. They just kept coming.
Yeah, because as it's playing out, and we watch the race and we know what's going on with the strategies, and like I look at all these notes, I knew who pitted when and everything. I mean, it just knew that all they had to do was stay green for a while, So this next choose, the 9 and the leader here taking the outside. Ryan is taking the inside here, and it gains a row doing it, so that kind of helps him a little bit here. Restarting at lap 276 here, but the 24 takes the lead away. Ryan sorts to P13 at lap 280 here. We passed the 71 to get to 12. Lap 281. This one's crazy. This one, the side window comes out of the 34 car. So we got debris caution of all things. I don't even know, how does that pop out of there?
He had damage on the side already, so it's possible that something was bent. He was involved in that caution earlier in the race, so there was scrapes up and down the side of the car. I mean, and I mentioned the last time it was frustrating, and then we even get a third one after where we thought he was in a good spot here. So it's just, this seals it pretty much at this point. And not even for I think people still thought the 24, because they had pitted so much earlier. The 6 had pitted earlier, but they'd mentioned to him that they didn't get as much fuel in as they wanted. So, but we thought the 6 maybe still be able to make it of anybody up there. So it's still just, as I've said already twice before, it's just kind of in a frustrating position to be in.
So Ryan does ask that question. He says, who can make it on fuel here? And at that point in time, the 9 and the 21 just pit. So he's all the way up to 10th here. 24 is leading, and he's taking the top here. Ryan, or the outside. Ryan takes that outside here. Loses a row to do it. But once again, I think it's a little easier to run, And the 60s in P6 here. So I took note of that because I knew he was on the same tire strategy. Everyone else is older. Some of them 39, some of them more laps, actually. Restart lap 286 here. Lap 290 here, P10 behind the 11. The 22 is behind us. But here's a sequence here of green flag run, right? And watch what happens. At lap 300, passing the 11 to get to 9th. At lap 305, Tim says fastest car. At lap 307, pass the 7 to get to 8th. At lap 310, passes the 42 to get to 7th. Lap 322, passes Hurricane Hocevar to get to 6th. At lap 327, passes the 48 to get to 5th. At lap 330, P5 now, 6 seconds back of the leader. Now, there's 20 laps left at this point. he's half second faster than leader, but I don't think he can
And
close this gap, especially not from P5, right? Because he's still got a
and
pass.
can I make
guy.
one
So,
mention here? You
you know,
bring up Hurricane Hocevar. If you're watching the in
mhm.
car close enough, Hocevar waved him by, stuck his hand out the
Did
window
he?
and waved him by. And I don't know if that's a
Uh-huh.
giving it back from what he did to him at Atlanta. Like, hey, you have a chance to go win the race, go try. But that was nice to see. I mean, he'd already done some egregious stuff during the race to a couple other guys. But yeah, he actually
Yeah.
waves Ryan by on this run. So kudos, I guess, for that.
Yeah. So he's 1.8 seconds back of P4, which is the 60. But at lap 335 here, he does pass the 60 to get to fourth, and he's 4.758 back of the leader. And that's lap 335. So lap 340, 3 seconds back of third place, the six car here. Lap 345 here, all of a sudden 1.77 back of the lead.
The
With
Rudy
5 to go.
Fugle is on the radio screaming at William Byron, telling him to back up, back up, back up, to
Mhm.
keep saving fuel. So I wasn't surprised to see that shrink, but you also see Ryan coming up to the 6 and 19 super fast as well.
Yeah. And this is the problem with like I said, about one less caution. One less caution. Everybody else that were stretching it on fuel that made it might not have made it first off. Or if they keep doing what this strategy is with backing up and not, Ryan would have passed them easily. He was about a half a second faster than those guys those last 20 or 30 laps. And the reason is he had more than enough fuel and he had 40 lap pressure tires. So the 24 does win. Ryan ends up P4 here. And like Jonathan says, sorry I didn't have that many cautions in the playbook. I mean, literally, they just can you plan on that many cautions, especially in basically all in the third stage. I mean, one or two.
Can we not run 5 laps? No.
If Tim got paid by the caution, he's a rich man today. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I did play that back for him, the TikTok, though he loved it. Got to have a little bit of sense of humor on a day like today. But the thing is look at how it ended up. The whole day as a whole, with all the goofy things that happened, having one of the faster cars, you still got yourself up to the front, and you'll tell us here in a minute about a great points day that they ended up.
So there's some discussion after the race, and part of this I think is the way TV played this up. Like TV finally, it took forever, but TV finally picks up on Ryan making all these passes down the stretch, and with like 5 to go, they're like thinking he's going to go, and they're doing the math too for everybody. 3/10, 4/10. That's all he needs to do to get there at the end of the race. But he kind of hits a roadblock when he gets to the 6, who's racing the 19 as well. And there's some people that were upset with how hard Brad was racing. And I think I even said to you, I don't blame Brad at all. Because again, people are telling him that the 24 is low on fuel, the 19 is low on fuel. Brad is so far back in points, he has to win a race to make it to the playoffs. So if the 24 runs out right in front of the 19 and they get taken out, the 6 inherits the lead. Like, he can't afford to just let somebody go because they're faster. So I saw some people saying, come on, Brad should have known. A Ford could have maybe won this race or whatever. I think there wasn't enough time. I think maybe if Ryan gets past Brad and the 19, he gets to the 24 like right as they're taking the checker flag. So but yeah, I don't blame Brad at all. I just want to know what your thoughts were on how hard, because he was racing them really hard right there in those last couple of laps.
Well, like earlier, I mean, all the passing that happened there, for the most part, he didn't rough anybody up. He passed because he could pass them, and he didn't do anything like where he'd knock anybody out of the way. And, that's probably the right way to do it. So, hopefully those, like you said, the 77 kind of returning the favor there and so forth. But I don't know, like, what else you can do except not have as many cautions, and you can't control everybody else around you. I mean, it's just so many goofy things of guys getting 3 wide. And a couple times we watched him take the inside on the choose, and it was like, I thought that was a great idea because I watched them go 3 wide and bump the guy on the outside. and get him near the wall or get him into the marbles. And it's just like, but on the other hand, when he got on the outside, he was able to push the guy in front of him and get by people. So it was, a lot of fun to watch. And like I said, one less caution, just one less caution, I think is all it needed.
Yeah, even the last one was a fluke with the window kind of flying out
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
oh well, like you said, there was a bright spot in the day, and that happens to be the NASCAR Cup Series regular season point standings with the fourth place finish in the first stage, second place finish in the second stage, fourth place finish in the race. Ryan gained a ton of points on the day. I think he gained the second most points on the weekend at Iowa. Ryan still remains in the 7th position in the NASCAR Cup Series point standings, but he's made up significant ground in these last 3 weeks with the 2 straight top 10s and then now top 5. So 7th position overall, 105 points back of the lead. Just a few weeks ago, he was 123 plus back of the lead at points. The closer thing, or the more important thing here, and we've been talking about this the last 2 weeks, is that race to get to 5th, which we kind of felt like was his threshold here with the amount of races that were left. Like if he's has a goal in mind, it's probably to get to that 5th position. Just a couple of weeks ago, it was 50, 60 plus points. I think even like 3 weeks ago, it was more than 100 points out or closer to that. 5th position now is 86 points back of the leader. Ryan's 105 points back of the leader. We're talking under 20 points now. Separates Ryan from 5th place in the standings. And as we say every week, the higher you finish up in the regular season point standings, the more bonus points you are awarded, playoff points that you will carry through the rest of the playoffs at the reset for when they head into the first race of the playoffs. So it's really important. Tyler Reddick is in 6th. Christopher Bell is in 5th. 6th with Reddick is 97 points back. So Ryan's only 8 points back of him. So each spot he moves up, more playoff points that he'll accrue. And now it's like super within reach. And those two guys, the 20 and 45, have had a lot of rough luck over the last couple of weeks. And that's why that's happened. The downside is those are also two guys that are really good on road courses. And that's where we're going to be heading next week. So Ryan just needs to have a clean day next week to stay in the hunt.
Just, well, I think he can run top 10 at the road course. Just needs to not have a problem in the bus stop, basically. Because that's all that happened last year. Do we want to talk about Hocevar and the 38 on pit road afterward?
Yeah, and I mean, the situation was interesting just in that there's also footage out there of the 38. Now, allegedly, there's no audio or anything to back it up, I don't think, but there is footage of the 38 taking a swipe on the inside of the 77. So it wasn't going to be a right rear hook; it was going to be a left rear hook, but he misses. And then I think just goes on to live another day. But yeah, the 38 crew chief, Ryan Briganti, goes in Hocevar is doing an interview, I think, with the front stretch after, answering some questions. And the crew chief kind of gets in his face and just says, and all we really see is he just says, like, you drove through us or you just, you wrecked us or whatever. And that's where the clip ends. So I was surprised, for and Zane's not afraid to go voice his displeasure with somebody, but you see his crew chief doing it. And I think this is pent up aggression, not even just at the 77 driver. This 38 has been crashed like 3 straight weeks without, it being their problem. So I think they're just getting madder and madder when they've had good runs.
Yeah, they've had good cars and they have nothing, they don't have anything to show. And it's kind of like one of those things where sooner or later, they got to get a finish. And they, every time they're getting close to a finish, something like that happening is not good. But then Hocevar, the Hurricane, put something on social media about everybody getting in line or something like that. And you don't care.
An Instagram post with like a take your ticket, that real red take your ticket tab like you'd get at the DMV or something. If folks out there even know what I'm talking about anymore. So he didn't take the approach of apologizing or anything. He's basically just, listening to Denny's podcast, Denny does say, he just messed up. This was a mistake. This wasn't him being stupid in this specific crash. But Denny also basically said, at this point, Hocevar still needs to take that step to at least apologize. And if he's not going to apologize, don't post something on social media to what Denny said just to get clicks, because it's not going to help.
Yeah, that's the problem with the whole situation with the social media. It's like it still enrages somebody somewhere, You may go ahead and apologize in private and nobody will know about it, and it may work. It may be good. but there are still other people are going, but look at what he did over here, just like you said, to get clicks. And it's like, I go back to last week, what we found out on Stacking Pennies about Christopher Bell, right? Where he went and physically apologized to people in public in front of other people. And he probably didn't do it on, so people could see it. He didn't have a team following him to videotape it, but he felt bad about a mistake. And then he felt bad about the damage it did to the car and the people that work on that car. So, that's more of the attitude that's impressive to me, not putting something on social media and trying to be funny. Some of this, like Ryan, you always hear Ryan that you might say something on the radio and so on and so forth, but it's always handled during the week, whether they do a text or a phone call, and there's usually something, so that's something that's part of the learning curve, I guess, for the 77.
And I'll hear people, defend it by saying, well, we want drivers to have opinions. We want drivers to have personality. I think when you're a guy like Hocevar and you're new, you have to earn that right. So if this was Kyle Busch, if this was Denny, if this was Joey, they can be the ones that at this point that, they have championships or almost 60 wins and things like that. They're the ones that can go and be snarky about it on social media. Hocevar's only won a handful of truck races and has shown speed in Xfinity and Cup, has not won a race yet. He's been close. He's probably going to win a race. If not this year, next year, definitely. But I think he does have to kind of maybe earn that right first before you can start doing things like that. But hey, he does have a growing fan base that loves it. Hopefully at some point he's able to back up the speed that he has with some kind of real results. So
and one other thing, the 24 car, he was cheating.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right? Yeah, he had to be cheating because he was supposed to run out of fuel. So he must have had like a longer fuel hose in there, or a bigger tank, or NASCAR helped him cheat.
Where have we heard that before?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. One last
onward.
Have we earned the right to be snarky? Are we breaking our own rules? I've not won a Cup race. I haven't even won an iRacing Cup race. So can I even say that? I don't know. The 5. So this is my fun thing every week, is that when TV actually picks up on another driver, as the kids say, crashing out on the radio. The 5 had a big crash out moment over, and some of it's his teammate Chase Elliott, just roughing him up for a good portion of the race. But he has this big long moment where he's finally goes off, and Cliff is trying to kind of talk him down from it a little bit, but also telling him to stay mad because we have positions we have to gain here. But I was very quick to say, and I've done this a few times when this has happened, like, whoa, that has to be AI generated or something, because from what I understand, Ryan Blaney is the only one that ever has these moments on the radio and nobody else.
Yeah, that's so funny you say that, because I found a TikTok a little bit ago of the 60 car having a meltdown yesterday, right? And it's funny because TV seemed to concentrate on Ryan more than anybody else, and they always seem to pull his audio more than anybody else, but TV doesn't have 40 people listening to 40 audios to hear this stuff. So they just pick up the right thing at the right time and they run with it. And a lot of times, like I said, there was like a buildup of like, oh, well, Ryan must be one of those guys, But the reality is if you take 37 cars or 36 cars that ran yesterday and go to all their in-car audios and watch them over, you're going to hear probably almost all of them swearing, except one or two guys who don't swear. And then, and they're going to all have moments where there's anger, angst, and frustration, and they hit the button because the button, it feels, somebody hearing it makes them feel better, basically. But he's not the only one, and it just drives me crazy when they do that whole thing. Well, but Blaney does it all the time. No, he doesn't. He doesn't do it that much. He only did it 2 or 3 times yesterday, but it was, warranted at the proper time, the proper thing, and then they move on. At the end of the race, he was mad at himself more than anything else. He apologized to the team. He thought he could have done better, actually, with what he was given. And that's the kind of guy you want, guys on himself and working hard to, But yeah, these whole things with the different drivers, and they all do it. If it'd be great if they had it, well, wait a minute, they do have it. If you guys want to subscribe to Max and watch a couple of these guys every week, some other guys even, and listen to them, they all do it.
So to swing things back to the positive again, 4th place finish for Ryan Blaney. Top 5s in both stages. Great points day. 7th position overall, 105 points back of the leader, who is William Byron again. Retakes the lead, 18 points over Chase Elliott, who struggled at Iowa. Kyle Larson is in the 3rd position, 45 back. Denny Hamlin in 4th, 51 back. Bell, 86 back. Reddick in 6th, 97 back. Again, Blaney in 7th. Chase Briscoe is in 8th, 130 points back of the leader. Alex Bowman is in 9th, 156 points back of the leader. And Bubba Wallace, who was 2 laps down at one point after breaking a toe link, gets his laps back because of the chaos, and had a Ryan Blaney-like run all the way back to the front to finish 6th. So he backs up his Brickyard 400 win with a really strong 6th place finish after having a toe link repair. Again, you say what you want about the guy. He willed that finish into existence on driving and strategy and taking advantage of the fresh tires and fuel that he had at the end of that race. So Bubba Wallace somehow, not somehow, 10th overall. Some would say somehow 10th overall in the standings heading into the last few races of the season. So that wraps up most of our discussion when it comes to the race at Iowa Speedway. But we do have to recap what happened in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League. And let's take a look and offer up who our starting lineup was, or who was in our starting lineup. I had Ryan Blaney, got me 49 points. Chase Briscoe got me 41 points. Hurricane Hostevar got me 33 points. William Byron, 48. So this is a swap that I made. I had Larson in the garage, and I believe, and then Reddick. So I took Reddick out of the lineup, put Larson in, and Reddick only got 18. So it was just a 4-point swing on that. Taking a look at my featured matchups, I picked Wallace over Chastain. That was right. I picked Elliott over Bell. That was right. I picked Barry over Stenhouse. That was right. And I picked Blaney over Byron, and that was wrong. So I was 3 for 4 on the featured matchups. So I ended up with 215 points on the weekend, 20th overall on the week. So not too shabby, actually, compared to at least the last. So Ryan's been on this hot streak the last 3 races. I have not. I've been the complete opposite. So I'll take a 20th place finish compared to what I've had the last at least month or so.
I don't know what happened here. I thought I had a pretty good lineup, actually, but some of these guys kind of failed a little bit during the day. I had Elliott, I had Larson, Hamlin, Bowman, Briscoe, and I'm done with Larson. I can't use him until the playoffs. I had Hostevar in the garage. Now, at the point in time at the end of the second stage, when I do look real quick before the stage is over, he wasn't, anybody I would swap for anybody, and so forth. But that kind of killed me because he ended up with 33 points, and I think Elliott was 26, Larson was 14, Hamlin was only 13, Bowman was 34, and Briscoe was 41. So Larson and Hamlin didn't have too many stage. I don't even think they had any stage points. No, Larson did. So kind of hurt a little bit there. Those guys didn't stage point at all. I had Bubba Wallace over Chastain. I had Chase Elliott over Bell. I did have Barry over Stenhouse, and the same thing. I had Ryan over Byron, and he only missed it by a couple spots or a couple laps.
So for you, it was 158 points on the weekend and a gentleman 71st overall in the standings. So you were back there where I'm usually hanging out. So congrats to me, who finished 50 plus or 50 positions ahead of you. So again, I was 20th overall, 215 points on the weekend. Let's take a look at the top 10, and that starts with a member of our Discord chat, Shar 12 fan, 228 points in 10th. In 9th, it's Denny Dumb Beep at 231 points. Factory of Sadness 6 is in 8th, 232 points on the weekend. We had a tie for 6 between Blaney's Daisy and No Hesitation, 237 points. My cousin Vinny was 5th, 239 points. Queen of the Caniacs and Markle 12 fan tied for 3rd with 240 points on the weekend. Pea Shoot Bill, 244 points on the weekend, finishes 2nd overall. And the winner for the weekend at Iowa Speedway in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League was Front Row John. That's a new name for us. 255 points. So congratulations to John. Let's take a look at the overall standings in the Team Blaney NASCAR Fantasy Live League. 68th overall for me, 3,834 points. Let's take a look at the top 10 here. Honorable mention to Racer SF. The defending champion is in 11th now, 4,308 points. 10th, hashtag LGM, 4,321 points. Blaney kicks beep in 9th, 4,326. And 8th is the Daisy Dukes, 4,328. And 7th is Go 12 Go, 4,329. Your team, Mez 12th, I think you slipped a little bit, 4,353 points. Former champ, Clyde's Chicken Pit Racing in 5th, 4,368. Pit Stop Pro in 3rd, 4,438. Vance 12 in 2nd, 4,469. And Alyssa C is leading the way now, 4,483 points.
Did you skip number 4 on purpose?
Not on purpose, but maybe a happy accident. Is that what we call that?
Oh,
Who's in 4th? What
wow.
do you think?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say Jordan Daniels gets to rest easier because he pulled away. Yeah, he pulled away from me here.
Oh.
Jordan Daniels. So, yeah.
4,419 points. 4th position. For the fellow that did lead the way for a while here, but now he's in 4th. Jordan Daniels, 4,419 points in the overall standings.
He's like you. He's going to come on strong and during the playoffs.
So that brings us now to the race weekend road track race or road course racing again. Second to last road course of the season as the series, all 3 series, I believe, actually heads to Watkins Glen International in New York. Things kick off on Friday, August 8th. 5 p.m. Eastern time. You have the Mission 176 at the Glen, Watkins Glen International. You can watch that race on FS1. You can listen to it on the NASCAR Racing Network and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Then Saturday, we have NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying kicking off at 12:05 p.m. Eastern time for practice on True TV, streaming on HBO Max. You can listen to that on MRN SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. And qualifying follows practice at 1:10 p.m. Eastern time. Watch it and listen to it on all those same places. 3 p.m. Eastern time, you have the NASCAR Xfinity Series Mission 200 at the Glen. Watch that on CW, MRN, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio on the radio. And then Sunday, August 10th, 2 p.m. Eastern time, Go Bowling at the Glen, streaming on NBC Sports, the USA Network, on TV, HBO Max for the in-car cameras, MRN, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio on the radio. Ryan Blaney at Watkins Glen International has made 8 starts, 2 laps led, average start 18.4, average finish of 16.1, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, 1 DNF. And Steve, where did that DNF come? When did that DNF come?
Oh, well, we don't want to talk
Came last year. Ryan Blaney crashed right away. Didn't even...
Right in the bus.
It says, and it's this. I haven't seen this before. Completed 0 of 92 laps, so didn't complete a lap. This actually, what happens here, is part of the reason why the DVP policy changed in 2025.
Yes.
Ryan's car didn't look that damaged, but there was like a mechanical failure due to the accident, and he couldn't steer. He's arguing to get towed back to pit road. They actually did tow some guys to their pit stalls, which was a no-no at the time. But they took Ryan straight to the garage and told him, you're out of the race. He did an interview after he came back from the care center and said, they at least got to give us the opportunity to look at it, to fix it, and the other point here, this was in the playoffs. Watkins Glen was in the playoffs last year. So this was a crucial race for them. And he didn't even make a lap. So that was rough. And then lo and behold, go into 2025. Suddenly the DVP policy has changed. Guys are now towed back to the garage, but they're not out of the race. They can repair their cars. They can return to the racetrack. Unfortunately, that policy bit us at Darlington with the 5 coming back out and ruining Ryan's opportunity at a win. But overall, it has given a lot of guys opportunities to come back out, set fast lap times, get some more points when they can. It is difficult when you've been out for several laps to finish higher than what I think it's 36 or something to actually get more than 1 point on the day. So, but it did affect some change. This crash did. So you mentioned at the beginning of the show, hopefully he has an opportunity to race even just 1 lap in this race this year. Ryan Blaney on the road courses in the next gen car has an average finish overall, like 14th to 15th average in the next gen car. Overall in his career, it's more 13th to 14th average. He finishes around there pretty consistently, especially in 2025. He's done that. So the road course races in 25, he's finished 19th at COTA, 14th at Mexico City, 12th at the Chicago Street Race, and 36 at Sonoma, though. Ran into some trouble during that event. So Watkins Glen previously 38th again last year. I think that ended up being dead last. No laps in the books there. 2023, he was 9th, and 2022, so the first year with the next gen car, he was 24th. So he does have a top 10 in the next gen car at Watkins Glen. Speed, we rattled off these finishes, specifically Chicago and Mexico City, 14th and 12th. That doesn't tell you how they ran in those races, however. Really strong cars. Yeah. Strategy didn't play out in some instances. Some other incidents have played out to kind of hinder their finishes. Something has changed this year in their road course package where he's able to pass cars. I've mentioned this, and when we talked about this before, it just feels like he has confidence in the race car now at these tracks and is not afraid to push it a little bit to make some of these passes in places that maybe he couldn't do it before. So I think that's been really encouraging. You mentioned the fact that you think he can finish top 10. I think that'd be awesome if he finishes top 10 this week. I'm expecting a top 15 at the least, and I'm okay with that because, as I said, you have Bell, you have Reddick ahead of him, that he's fighting for that 5th spot in the regular season standings, and those are going to be two guys that are good at road courses and may have an opportunity to win the race. But because of that, the way their strategies will play out. Say Ryan doesn't have winning speed that they think on the weekend. They did this at COTA, I believe. They won a stage. Did they do it in Mexico too? I think they may have won a stage at Mexico City as well. Because they've decided maybe we can't win the race, but we can gain us a lot of stage points and earn playoff points by winning the stage based on strategy. We won't really know until they're halfway through the first stage, maybe what they're going to be thinking here. We might know in practice, honestly, if they think they have a super fast car. So that's going to dictate strategy. It's going to dictate possibly where they finish too, if they give up those positions to gain stage points that are super valuable right now.
Yeah, just hopefully that turns 1 and 2 go well enough that down the bottom of the hill where they clear a couple people, so when they get to the bus stop, it's a little more single file. Because I think that was the problem last year, is they were doubled up, a lot of them going into the bus stop still, and it just was mayhem. And he got hit from, he cleared certain things and then got hit from behind, and so it just get good qualifying, good practice, and start the weekend off right, and get out there and hopefully be in some clean air most of the day, and we'll see some fun stuff if he gets to do all that.
Let's take a look at the top 10 finishing positions in this race last year. Chris Buescher outdueled Shane Van Gisbergen down the stretch to win the race. Yeah. Got past him late in the race. Hocevar finished 3rd, Chastain 4th, Zane Smith 5th in a Spire car. Briscoe was 6th, McDowell was 7th. Corey LaJoie actually had one of his better runs of the year in the 7 car in the 8th position. Ryan Preece was 9th. Austin Cindric, our teammate, was in 10th. Is this going to be a Shane Van Gisbergen weekend, or is this an opportunity for McDowell or an Allmendinger, who is also really good at this track, to potentially come from, like Shane did at the beginning of with his first win, come from all the way back in points to win their way into the playoffs? I think there's some names here that might be able to kind of step to the table and give SVG a run for his money. Connor Zilic is also, he's running triple duty this weekend at Watkins Glen. He actually just took over the 45 truck from Nice Motorsports. They just released their driver. He's going to run in the Xfinity Series race, obviously, and this is also going to be one of his cup starts in a 4th Trackhouse car. So Connor Zilic, what's he going to do this weekend? I know he's gotten some more laps in this car. If he qualifies up front, maybe he has an opportunity to turn some heads. So is there anybody on that list, or anybody that I've mentioned, or people that I haven't mentioned that you're looking that might make some noise this weekend and potentially stop SVG from his run road course victories?
Yeah, here's the interesting thing about SVG. Last year he got beat Busher kind of roughed him up a little bit and beat him. And I think the big difference between then and now is that SVG knows how to race a little more like that with the guys, and he knows who to look out for a little bit more. So he's used that already this year, I think, in the finishes he's had on road courses. So there's a lot of people that want to give it to him already, and I understand that. But this is one of the 2 original road courses, this one in Sonoma, that these guys have all driven at for most of their careers. They have way more track time there than he does. So I see it being a little closer or more even. I don't see him breaking away. And if there's a late caution, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Because of the late caution and he has to race with people, they're going to do whatever it takes to get him off the track. And I don't mean that like in a wreck him kind of way, but definitely force him to not use the line he wants to use. So I think it'll be fun. I think it's going to be more competitive than the last couple have been for him. Just based on, like I said, Busher last year, look what he did. Can guys like like Chase Elliott run with him? I think so. This is a place where he's done really well in the past. Won his first race here. So yeah, that's the kind of things I'm looking out for. See who can be competitive on the day with him.
And you mentioned it with Busher. Busher actually ran him down and got to him because Shane clipped a wall. And that's kind of what gave the 17 the opportunity to kind of to muscle his way past. So that shows you, I mean, that he's had another full year under his belt now in this car, but it shows you that SVG is not perfect. And honestly, even at, Chicago, he crashed, or at least spun out in practice too. So it's not, it's not uncommon for him to maybe have a mistake here and there. He missed a turn during the race at Chicago as well, but still obviously went on to win. So he's going to be super strong. I think the only thing that takes him out of a top 5 finish is strategy gone awry, or something maybe he's put in the back because of strategy, and as you say, the squirrels get him. So you just never know what's going to happen there. But I think even the Chicago race or the Mexico race, one of them, I think it was Chicago actually, he pitted to follow the strategy of flipping a stage and then end up beating Larson for the stage win anyway, which is something really Larson was only able to do before as well. So we'll have
Sonoma, yeah.
But yeah, Ryan, like I said, I'm fairly confident that they've turned the corner. You can pick which one, left or right, on the road courses. They found some speed, and I think if they compare that with some really solid strategy on the day, they could have an opportunity to have a really good points day or a really good finish. If everything works out perfectly, they'll have both, and that's what we're going to be hoping for. So again, if you want to tune in this weekend, things kick off on Friday for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the Mission 176 at the Glen on FS1 on TV. We move things to Saturday for practice and qualifying for the Cup Series. Starts at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch that on True TV and MRN Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. And then Sunday, you have the NASCAR Cup Series, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. They go bowling at the Glen, streaming on the NBC Sports app, TV USA, HBO Max for the in-car cameras, MRN Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. So that brings us to a fun weekend recap from you from a race of a different kind, and that is the Lou Blaney Memorial that was held at Sharon Speedway, Hartford, Ohio, my home racetrack, the place that I spent a ton of time at while I was growing up, so it's near and dear to my heart. And this is also a really special race for the Blaney family, and it took on an even higher meaning this year as we just lost the matriarch of the Blaney racing family in Kate Blaney just a couple of weeks ago, leading up to this race. So you and Kate were there on hand to represent Team Blaney. Our friends Jerry and Kirsten Mariotti were also on hand as well. You guys had the opportunity to kind of walk around the pits, take in some of the sights, see the 10 car close up. You guys both provided some great content. We were able to publish over the weekend some photos and video that I know was shared around a lot over the weekend. People really liked that. Talk about your experiences. They had a lot going on there, from silent auctions to raffles to the racing, and we even sponsored a lap in the race.
That's what I was going to put the flag up first for everybody to see. We're sponsored lap 22 of the race. They did those in memory of Kate, and you hurried up. You tried to get a better number. Well, this is a pretty good number. Don't get me wrong. This is a good number, symbolic. But you tried to get, what did you say? You tried to get 10 at first, but somebody already
10 was taken, 12 was taken. So 22 was the next
Yeah.
best one. Dave ran a 22 in the Cup Series. Ryan ran the 22 in the Xfinity Series and won some races in that car. So don't think of Joey Logano when you think of 22. Think of Dave and Ryan. So thought that was a fitting lap for us to pick. And our friend Stellanarius, she right behind us in lap 23, she sponsored that lap in honor of one of her family members.
So if you go to our TikTok page somewhere on there, I videotaped all of lap 22. It was kind of cool. It was best weather they've had. Last year it rained and then it got moved and everything else. So this year was much better. We went over and visited with Patty at the tent for a couple minutes. They were extremely busy. The silent auction items were there underneath a tent, but then they also had a basket raffle set up, and we all love a good basket raffle. Also, always do the 50-50. But my wife and I were putting tickets and all these different things, and there was one bag that was donated, of course, by the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation, and we both ended up putting a lot of tickets in there. And as the lady told my wife later on, that it had the most tickets in it. What was funny is we were sitting in the stands, and it's about 7:30, maybe 7:45, and Jerry and Kirsten are sitting next to us, and they had went down and came back up. Well, they went down, and Jerry says, "Yeah, they went to check the baskets." I was like, "Oh, they pulled the numbers already?" He goes, "Yeah, like about 7:00." So we sent, we didn't send. I mean, my wife's going, "I gotta go hurry up and check it out," right? So she hustles down there, and sure enough, we're sitting all the way at the top of the grandstands down at turn one, and we see her coming around the corner, and she's got a smirk on her face. It's a really, really sly kind of smirk, and it's like, I turned to Jerry and go, "She won." He goes, "What do you mean?" I says, "Look at her down there. She's smirking." And sure enough, once she got in range, we could see that she had the basket, she had the bag in her hand, and then come up with it. So really, really cool to win something like that. We took some nice pictures at the sign where they had a nice sign set up. Who sponsored what lap in both races, because they had we could have donated to both races. The racing action was great. Dale qualified pretty well, ran pretty well in his heat, got a good draw. I think he ended up drawing third for the I want to say it was third for the
the feature.
Feature. And Danny Dietrich from Eastern PA there, he was like 7th or 8th. He started a little bit deeper in the field, but he was the car to beat all night. He was great during qualifying and just tore up those 30 laps, just got there, got to the front, and Dale chased him. I mean, Dale put a valiant effort in. They just didn't have any cautions. They only had like one caution, I think, the whole time. So didn't have any cautions to gather him back up, really, for Dale to make another run at him. And Danny is kind of a funny story because the former sponsorship on his car that's no longer there was a company I used to work for. So that was kind of cool too. You always call him my driver, but but I don't really know him that well. But I was glad to see him win because he did make the effort to be there. Certain guys were in other places of the country, and he made sure he was there. And I know he wanted to win one bad, and he got it. So yeah, good night all around for all that stuff. Great action. Just great hearing. Leah spoke a little bit beforehand, and kind of like told everybody what the night meant to the family and everything. And it was really, really, really nice night with all that going on.
That was great to see. Yeah, P2 for Dale in a car that won the race last year, in a car that's won multiple races this year at Sharon Speedway. So I think his average finish there this year is pretty high up, possibly like 1.5 at this point. So I think that was pretty much, I think, the whole reason Dale was out racing this year was to attempt to try and win this race. Came up just shy, and hopefully he and Dave get back together and run it again next year, because Dale did win the race a few years ago. Dave has won it, I think, 3 times, and he, did the mic drop in victory lane last year after winning the race and retired. So that's opened up that number 10 car ride for Dale this season. The folks watching on TikTok and stuff can see her background. It's a photo of a friend of the pod, Mike Ackelson, and Dale in a nice, fresh Ryan Blaney Family Foundation fire suit. So cool to see. Came up just shy, but definitely put on a show like he usually does out at Sharon Speedway. So thanks to everybody that donated over the weekend, donated to sponsor the laps in memory of Kate Blaney. participated in the silent auction, participated in the basket raffle. All of the proceeds of that went to the Ryan Blaney Family Foundation, who then works with the Alzheimer's Association specifically for this race in memory of Lou Blaney. That's a big mission of theirs and a big mission of the family. So thank you to everyone that took the opportunity to do that. One last thing I just want to mention before we call it a show, just some news that I learned a couple of days ago was that Sharon Speedway related was that Amanda Taylor, who was the person that took over for me when I left Sharon Speedway. I was a transponder scoring official in the scoring tower for many years there before I moved to Florida. Amanda's the person that I trained. She took that over for me. I'm not sure how much longer she did it after I left, but she did take that over. She did pass away over the last few days. Talked to some of her family members about that. So I was sad to hear about that. So thoughts and prayers are with the Taylor family for sure. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of the Team Blaney podcast. During the week and on race day, you can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search for Team Blaney. We'd also like to encourage you to support the aforementioned Ryan Blaney Family Foundation. Ryan's official charitable organization benefits brain health causes like UPMC Sports Medicine and the Alzheimer's Association. To learn more, visit ryanblaneyfamilyfoundation.org or follow them on Facebook, X, and Instagram. So for my co-host Steve Mez, I'm Adam Rogers. We'll catch you next time right here on the Team Blaney podcast.
Good night, Pawtucket.